Okay, hi everyone. Joe from the future here. About 17 minutes in to this video, my phone runs out of storage and we will cut straight to the end of the game. I apologize for that in advance, but you will see how to play. You'll get a really good idea. We'll get halfway through the game. I'll show you the core mechanics, and that should be more than enough to whet your appetite for Treasure Depths. At some point, I will record a full playthrough again, but it isn't this time round. So thank you for bearing with me on that, and don't judge me too harshly. Hello everybody, and welcome to this playthrough of a word dungeon game called Treasure Depths. Treasure Depths uses the same word dungeon mechanic, but this time we have resource management involved. We are taking a deep dive down to the bottom of this cavern, collecting treasure as we go, all the way and resurfacing back up here. How much treasure can we collect? But how much air will we have left at the end? We need to make it out back up alive. So we've got a simple setup here. This setup ensures that every time you play, you're going to have a different experience. Different letters will be different places. And to set up, we roll a d6 and we assign letters to each treasure chest. We can choose which chest to place letters in. So if we look in the top corner here, we have the dice numbers 1 through 6 and letters beneath them, and we're going to decide where to place these things. So I'm going to start by rolling. And our first roll is a 5. So we look at our column here, which is an I, an L, and a W, and we decide where we're going to place those letters. And I think I'm going to start by placing a W, and I'm going to place it in our first treasure chest here. Okay, we're going to continue. We want a 4 this time. O, D, and a Y. Let's take a Y, and let's make this word end in a Y. So this treasure chest is a Y. At some point, we'll have to play a word that ends in a Y there. Okay, next. Oh, let's cross that out to show I've used it up. 4, another 4, an O. Let's have this one beginning with the letter O. Cross it out up here. A 3, a 3 is A, H, and F. This can be an A to start this one here. You'll see that each of the chests here has different values next to it. The deeper you go, the more valuable the chests. There's also a hidden chest in this cavern here that's worth 5. So that was the O up here. I've just crossed that off. Well, that was the A, sorry. And let's roll again. A 4, so this is the final D going down. Let's end this with a D here. So if I roll another 4, I will choose from a different letter. 5, I and L. This must be doable. An L down here. Another 5, so this is an I. I'm going to place the I. I'm going to place the I in here. Just planning ahead what I might get there. Now, I'm choosing where things go, but if you wanted a bit more of a challenge, you could point at a treasure chest, roll the dice, and place whatever is in there. A 2, we just did the I, didn't we? 2 is a T, an R, and an M. Let's take a end with a T over here. There goes the dice on the floor. We'll swap out with this one. It was a 6. 6 is an N, a U, and a G. So there's a G here. The 3 gets us an H and an F. And start this word with an H down here. A 1 is an E, an S, and a C. Okay, let's take an E here. We're nearly there. A 4. Well, now we can pick anything we want because we've used up all the 4s. So I'm going to go with an M over here. from there. 6 is an N or a U, so let's place an N here. We've got 2 to go. So here's where it gets a bit tricky. It can throw me some horrible letters now. 4, we'll take the S because we've already used up all the ones from 4. And the final one is a 6. This is going to be a U here, and we don't have a choice. Okay, that was set up. We now have a number of treasure chests, each filled with a letter. When we place a word that incorporates that chest, so for example, if we had the word anvil across here, we would claim that treasure chest. But in Word Dungeon, we are creating a path of unique words. And in the case of Treasure Depths, we start at this space under the ship. We make our way down through the different cabins and all the way back up. Now, a few things to look at. We'll score when we pick up treasure chests. We have the depth gauge over here. Each time we place a word, we're going to cross off the letters from that word in these columns here, and that will give us some endgame scoring points. If we cross off everything in here, the E, T, A, O, and X, we'd get 10 points. If we manage the I, N, S, R, and Q, that wouldn't be 10, it'd be 20 points. But what's really important is everything, to score 20, we have to have got everything up to 20. So if we miss any letters in these sections, we struggle to get the full set of points. You'll also notice these depth lines going along here, here, and here. Once you pass one with a word, you can't go back up into that space. So that means that we're forced down here and back up. And we have our air supply up here. Now our air supply, every time we place a word, we will cross off something from our air supply, one bubble. If we can place a word that goes onto this bubble here, we will gain 1, 2, 3 more bubbles of oxygen. And oxygen, any oxygen we have left over at the end is worth 1 point. Treasure is worth whatever this all adds up to, whatever we got on the way down there. When you play down to here, if you extend a word, so for example, if I had the word lead and I extended it with leading, I wouldn't cross off, I wouldn't be using any more air. So lead would cross off one bubble, leading, adding ing, extending a word doesn't use up air. So we'll need to think about that as one way that we need to be careful and actually how we're going to maximize the use of our air. So we end up completing the game having collected as much treasure as possible, but with as much air left over at the end. Okay, let's play. Let's have a look at our depth gauge here. Let's think about what we're going to do as we come in. We probably want a word that comes down to here that can be extended with maybe an S on the end to pluralize it, and then something that goes up along here. So we could have something like theme here, THEM. We see. So this is a complicated game. The choices you make as you go through are going to make your life easier and difficult as you go on. So as you listen to me play, I'm going to try thinking out loud a lot for this one, which might mean that you're screaming at this at the screen at the video saying, no, you should do this, and I won't because I've missed something. Let's imagine we're going to go with bestow across here. BE. And something down here like BESTOT. Okay, I'm going to go with... I can change it. Right, I'm going to go down here with the word help. Okay, now what happens? Well, we've written a word, so I'm going to cross off oxygen up here. And we've used some letters. We've used an E, an H, a P, and the L here. Okay, and here I'm going to play the word low. So that's my second turn. Cross off. But this time I picked up the treasure. Now, if you remember before, if I extend a word that's already there, so by playing helpful, I don't cross off any oxygen. F-U-L, let's use those up here. U and the F. We've already used an L. Okay, so... Ooh, is there a word that would play across there? I don't know, I can think of one. I can get the word earn here. Turn. I might leave that chest. I can't think of something that would go there, but I'm going to play the word earn in here. So cross off a bubble, that's my third word, but I'm going to add 3 more because I've just picked up that bubble there. U-R-N, so there's an N and an R. Okay, so now we need to come down. How are we going to do that? Okay, let's be useful. We're going to play Axel, because that will get us that and that. We'll lose an oxygen doing it. And then here we're going to play the word earn. Okay, let's work out where our letters are there. We've not used them all. We've used them all already, so we don't add anything in, but I do cross off oxygen. And then this is nice and simple. I'm going to go with ring to get that second treasure chest. And you'll see we are managing this oxygen, and we need to make sure that we get down and up without drowning. If we have to cross one off and we don't have more oxygen and we're still underwater, we will fail. Okay, I'm going to come across here with something topical. Ocean. We lose a bubble, but we do gain the 1, 2, 3 here. And here I'm going to come in with, so ocean down here. O-C-E-A-N. No, so we're going to go with here with earning. Now, we extended, so we don't cross anything off. And just to note that we've gone past the depth line again, so we can't do anything else up here now. I can't go back and decide, I've got a clever word for this. In fact, I could have act and tar would have gone nicely there. But now I've crossed this line, I can't go back into the space above. Right, let's go something. Okay, I'm going to play the noise that a pig makes. A pig oinks. To get that treasure chest, we used up an oxygen bubble. We've used an I, an S, and a K, so that was quite good there. And we're probably going to come down on this K now. I have to think carefully about how we get these two letters in there. K-I-N. Okay, let's go with kinked. Lose oxygen. We'll take the D. So we're doing quite well here. We're crossing off lots of these. This T is holding us up though. We need to use it because it will allow us to get to the 10. It unlocks everything else going down. Kinked, maybe. Now, I've got earnings here, and I did play earn before, but the word now in the game is earnings. So I could play earn down here because it would be a unique word. But I'm not going to. I want to make it a little bit different. I'm going to play the word even there. Let's see there. And we'll lose oxygen. And I'm probably going to play the word hid there, losing another oxygen. Now, the keen amongst you will have noticed I have made an error. Maybe the stress of recording a playthrough video. I didn't pick up this bubble. So I've kind of caused myself a bit of harm here because that is 3 endgame points because each bubble is worth a point at the end. But also it's going to make it harder for me to get back up. But we'll keep going. Because I hope lose that, HOP all done, and then I'm going to play the word 2 there. So hope. And let me just check how many words we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3, 6, 11, 12, yeah. But we pick up the oxygen. 1, 2, 3. Now if we played Eve here, we'd pick up that. So I'm going to play Eve. Okay, welcome back. You'll have just seen a big jump. My phone ran out of storage, and I continued for another 20 minutes of playing without realizing it was recording. But I wanted to show you what the kind of the end of the map looks like. So I scored 73 because I had 1 oxygen bubble left over. I totted up how many of these treasure chests I managed to get the 32. I managed to get all the letters for my depth gauge, so that's 40, a final score of 73. Now I could record the whole thing again, but I'm hoping that in the first bit you saw enough of what was going on. So that is Treasure Depths. I hope you enjoy the game, and I hope if you ever do a recording of it, your phone doesn't run out of storage.